Well, as I'm sure you know, 2010 has been a really tough year for the British National Party. We've had everybody possible jumping on our backs, trying to get us down. And they tried very hard and they failed. I'm still here, the British National Party is still here, and the public's regard for this party, I think, is higher than ever. Those of you who've been involved in the Bring Our Boys Home campaign, out with the stalls on the streets, you've seen that. Literally queues of people coming up to our stalls, British National Party stalls. Yes, it's a good issue, bringing our boys and girls home out of a war that's got nothing to do with Britain. But if the knockers were to be believed and this party wasn't basically popular with the British people, those queues wouldn't be on those stalls. And they've been there literally every single place in the country, right from the very bottom end of the country, right up to Scotland, from East Anglia, across to and including Northern Ireland. That's been a fantastic operation, and it showed just how much potential there is for this party. And I've no doubt that's why our opponents have been so desperate to get rid of us while they've still had time. But they've run out of time. We're still here. Not only have we kept going, we've actually made some remarkable progress, really, in the months since the general election. That was a wake-up call to us, especially in the council elections. We found out really how far the Labour Party especially has pulled ahead of us, and in fact all of the smaller parties in particular. And we sat down, analysed why. We should have worked it out some time ago, to be honest, but we worked out that it was about the databasing system they've got, literally hoovering up names and addresses and putting them into their election system for the future. And we spent a long time over the last few months and an awful lot of effort working out what their system is and matching it. Ours is called Alfred. It's a great electoral system, and everyone who's seen how it works and the potential for it has been hugely impressed. Now, of course, it's only a matter of putting in the work to get the names and addresses in, to get the information in, and really start using it. But we've got a system now which can match that of any of the other parties, and to have got that just in the last few months has been quite an achievement, really. Similarly, in the last couple of months, we decided, we knew already we were going to bring the administration system, the administration office, and the telecom system back to the mainland. We set them up in Northern Ireland because that's where the experts were. It was the only place we could do it, but we've known for some time we need to bring it back onto the mainland. And we had two opportunities to do this, realistically, either just before Christmas this year or not until June next year after the big elections. So we decided to bring it forward because we've got to get these foundation stones really firm and fixed so we can build on them for the future. So that's been done, and again, no mean feat. It really has been a huge amount of work and effort, and not inconsiderable disruption that we had to try and smooth over so we can keep the party running while we make these really big changes. Again, it's something that's done. The foundation stones now are in place. And with those foundations in place, in the last couple of months now, you can really start to see the progress. Everybody who came to the conference saw that it was by far the most professional that we've ever organised, streets ahead of any of the others, and that's not accidental. It's because we set out to do it, because I've now got around me a really sound team. We've got no one who, out of negativity or whatever, is trying to hold us back. We've got a team dedicated to going forward, and everyone at the conference saw that. Those who weren't there, I know you've seen clips of it on BNPtv, but the best is yet to come. I've been talking with Derek, who's been editing the material we've got for the conference, and he's got a superb DVD lined up which will be on sale in January, and that will really show you, when you see that, just how far this party now is organised to motor ahead for the future. Then, of course, the big issue, the really big thing that's kept us, me particularly, so busy this year, apart from the still getting to grips with the European operation, which pretty well we have done now, and again, if you've seen the videos from that recently, you'll see the tremendous progress that we're making there. But the big issue that's been holding us back, as it was meant to hold us back, has of course been the Equalities Commission attack on the British National Party. And myself, Simon Darby and Tanya Lumby were picked out as representatives of the party and literally persecuted on your behalf. That was an attempt, as Simon Woolley of the Equalities Commission said. The whole attempt was to use that case literally to close our party down. And they came for us with all guns blazing. 70 taxpayer-funded lawyers against our team, and it was hard going. They really pushed us around to start with. The easiest thing to have done was to have simply surrendered and given them exactly what they wanted. Well, I'm not in the business of surrendering this party's principles, and I know that you aren't either. And that's why together we stood and fought. And with the effort from the legal team, with the donations that poured in from people all over the country to help us fight this case, we fought it, we fought them to a standstill, and we've won. It's as simple as that, because they were trying to put us in prison and they have failed. We changed our constitution in a way the debate was going on already. That would have happened in due course anyway. We changed our constitution so that we do indeed comply with the new law. We've always complied with the law, but the new law, the Equalities Law Act, was brought in specifically to outlaw this party in its constitution. So we changed and moved to be within the law, because we believe in respecting the law, even if we disagree with the law, and we certainly don't want to pick an unwinnable fight with the most powerful sections of the government. But we won the fight that we did pick with the Equalities Commission. They failed utterly. What we have got to go back in January is to talk about costs. And I can tell you that they're going after, for the first part of the case, they're going after us. For the second part of the case, which is far bigger, we're going after them. We're going to be giving them a bill for something probably like about £160,000 for the section of the case that we won, which is the biggest section of the case. So that's going to be really something quite interesting. But whatever happens on the costs front, and our lawyers are very, very confident, and they were confident that we'd win, and they were right, we did win. Whatever happens on the costs front, we've already won the big thing, which is not only the fact that we're still here, we've got them to accept, post the court case, various spokesmen for the Equalities Commission, including their main legal man, have now said we're going to leave the British National Party alone, but we're going to watch them very closely to see they stick within the law. You think about that. That means they're accepting that we are within the law. And since racism and discrimination are illegal, and that's what they're there to stop, by accepting that we're within the law, they're accepting that we are legitimate, not a racist party, that our constitution is valid. And it follows, as far as I'm concerned, that it's time that people stopped persecuting policemen and teachers and civil servants and so on for being involved with the British National Party, because we've got a stamp of approval from the Equalities Commission. So I bet this Christmas they're wishing they hadn't started that in the first place. The most important thing we've achieved, and I want to dwell on this just for a couple of minutes because some people don't get it, and in particular one or two people with a little bit of legal knowledge are out there on the internet saying, oh, well, Nick Griffin has said that we forced the Equalities Commission to recognise the indigenous British as an ethnic group, but we don't see this in the judgment. Where is it? Well, if anyone actually understood the law, as our legal team now does understand the law, they'd see that doesn't have to be in the judgment. It's what's absolutely implicit in terms of what the Equality Commission did. Because when they brought a case for us, against us for discrimination against ethnic minorities, in order to prove discrimination, they have to show, or be able to show, that they've actually thought about it. And to have discrimination, you have to have it between two different groups. And the only two different groups here possible are the ethnic minorities and the indigenous British, whom we said we're here to look after, as indeed we are. So it's that implicit recognition of that was the whole basis of their case. And if in future, one of our people, not a British National Party member, just any native Brit, English, Scots, Irish, Welsh or Ulster Scots, brings a case, I say if, when our people start bringing cases, and they say that we are being discriminated, if the Commission were to turn round if the Commission were to turn round and say, oh, but your ethnic group doesn't exist, which was their position before the case against us, all anyone would have to say is, but look, you brought that case against the British National Party, your criteria for deciding the two different groups, ethnic groups and another group, to decide whether they were being discriminated against, was the ethnic British. Therefore, either that case was fraudulent, or this case I'm now bringing is legitimate. What are you going to do? We have got them in a bind, or rather, they've got themselves in a bind. It's a fantastic victory. Its effect won't be felt probably for a number of years, actually, until more and more people understand that there is now an ethnic British bandwagon which we can roll out. And whatever the grounds of discrimination is, whether it's housing or jobs or education or in terms of crime statistics being kept or funds handed out, whatever the discrimination is, we've opened the door for people to walk through, people of our kind, of the English, the Scots and the Irish and the Welsh. We've opened that door as a direct result of that case. Now it's for other people in some cases to walk through that door, to push it open even further, and if they don't, in the due course, we will. But not quite yet, because let's face it, we need a break at the moment from big court cases, because this coming year we've got some really big elections. The Welsh Assembly elections in particular, if you look at the results we got in the general election, which in general election terms, parliamentary terms, were the best that we've ever had, the ones which we had in Wales show very clearly that there's 2, probably even 3 of the giant seats they have a PR system in Wales which we can win. Not which we might win, which we can win. We've got a really good chance to win. We've got a chance in Glasgow, up in Scotland, in the super seat there. We've got a chance in Northern Ireland. We're going to be standing in the Assembly elections there. And at the same time, we've got a chance, we're looking to go back to winning council seats in various places, in the council elections this year. But the Welsh Assembly elections really are potentially the jewel in the crown. Those are winnable. All we need is more money than we had last time and more effort and a push than we had last time. And we can bank a couple of those seats. I'm not exaggerating. We can have those seats. It's not a maybe, an outside chance. They are within our grasp, as long as we determine to go out and get them. Now, we started already, in fact, before the weather closed in. One of the tail end of the Bring Our Boys Home campaign's efforts that we had was a big push in Wales in the winnable seats. We collected a lot of signatures, a lot of names and addresses, and we'll be feeding those into our electoral system with a view to winning in June. But on that, we need your help. And when the call goes out to come as activists, it's activists we need to see. The call will go out for activists and donations. Frankly, I and the party, we would rather have your activism than your money. If you can't be active, then please give to help support the activists, because we've got to throw a lot at that campaign, because our opponents are desperate to keep us out of Wales, because South Wales especially, it's one of those Labour heartlands. It's one of these iconic parts of the history of the Labour movement. And if we can win there and take seats there, it says that even though we're now under a Conservative and Lib Dem coalition government, we can still beat the Labour Party on their turf. And that's the opportunity we've got this June. I very much hope that you'll help me and the British National Party and our candidates to seize that opportunity. Before then, of course, we got the Oldham election, sprung on us on January the 13th. I was hoping to stand in that, but they sprung it so fast that on the day a couple of days ago when I should have been going up to get photos taken up in the constituency and campaign, I was quite simply snowed in here. Today's the first time we've even been able to get a four-wheel drive vehicle up and down here. So instead of that, we've picked a very good local candidate, Derek Adams, the hero of the Ace of Diamonds, the man, if you don't know, who was driving Manchester Labour Party and the Labour Council so mad that they compulsorily purchased his pub and flattened it in order to get him out of Manchester. Well, Derek isn't out of Manchester, and he's going to be in Oldham. I'll be up there as well. Again, we'll get all the activists we can in the very short space of time, and we'll give it a good crack to, and hopefully give January a good start. And then, as I say, after that, it's everything has to roll on to the Assembly elections, in particular in Wales for June. Finally then, moving on, I mentioned the weather and the fact we've been snowed in here. In effect, still am, really. This kind of weather is exceptional, and it places an enormous burden on particularly the old and the poor. This government and the last government have spent so much money, as I'm sure you know, particularly bailing out a corrupt banking system, that there's nothing left in the pot. And certainly everywhere I've managed to go in the last few weeks, you've seen the impact, streets everywhere in terms of lack of grit, lack of salt, lack of snow clearance. It's hard enough for the fit and healthy, but it really is difficult for the old and frail. And we always say that the British nation is a family. That's not just a piece of rhetoric. We mean that the nation is a family. So if you've got someone elderly in your own family, naturally I would hope you're looking after them. But someone who's elderly in your street, they're part of our family. The older generation are the ones who saw this country through the Second World War, who saw it through the hard times, whose work and taxes through the good times have given us our health service, our education system, so much that until recently, with the cuts, we've taken for granted. That came from those people's hard work and dedication. They're the people who built the country that, despite its faults, we still enjoy and love today. And now in this weather is the time to give something back. So please look around, have a think in your street, in your neighbourhood, in your village or town or wherever, in your block of flats, and think that somewhere there's someone who's elderly, who even if they're warm enough, and plenty aren't, they're probably lonely because they can't get out because of the weather. So please go round, take them some kind of Christmas good cheer, and if you see that they're cold and vulnerable, then's the time to knock on the neighbours, to rally people round, because everybody knows it's wrong to have the old folk just left lying and even dying alone. But everyone thinks it's someone else's job to do it. And if we go as a party collectively to not just the people who need help, but to their neighbours and so on, and say, look, they need help, I'm giving help, what will you do? Then you'll find people will respond to that, because at heart, our people still are one family, one nation, and they're yearning for someone to give the leadership. And that's our job, to provide that leadership. So please get out there over the next couple of weeks, forget the politics, just look after someone old, someone vulnerable in your community, and that'll be doing your bit to show that this country's heart is very much alive and still beating. I'll leave you with that. The only thing that's left for me to say is do have a very Merry Christmas and a happy and productive New Year.